We are, each of us, a product of the stories we tell ourselves. Darren Brown. This is probably, maybe not probably, this is my favorite quote. And that's because we are always telling ourselves stories. We're telling our stories right now. As you watch this, you're telling yourself a story. Maybe that story is about yourself. Maybe that's a story about me. Maybe that's a story about something that's happened in the past that you're thinking about or coming up in the future. We're constantly telling ourselves stories. And this, when I heard this quote, it was so powerful. It really made me think of when I talk to people and they tell me things. It made me think how all of those things are just stories. We can choose our stories. We are holding the pen of our lives and writing those stories. Every single day we write those. Maybe we've lived by a story in our heads for our whole lives. If we're 30, we've lived with them for 30 years. But that doesn't mean we have to continue living with them for the next 30 years. When we make that choice to start rewriting that story, we can put our pen to the paper and we can start writing. And that can be a new story. Doesn't have to be that same one that we've lived by for all that time. I just want to take a minute to tell you about some ways you can access more of my free content. So you can get my free hypnotherapy soundtracks, and these can help you to focus your mind, to reduce your stress, and to help you sleep better at night. You can also download my free 4-step guide to getting started with self-hypnosis today. And that's in a PDF format that you can download straight away. Now, both links to these are in the description, and thank you. And sometimes if I'm not having the best day for any reason, maybe things have gone wrong, or things have taken longer than they should have, it's important to think about the story that I'm telling myself. And I think, okay, the morning's not been great, it hasn't gone to plan. Let's rewrite that story for the rest of the day. Let's not let this day roll into tomorrow, into the week, into the month, into the year, into whole life. Whenever we want, we can change that story. So think about those stories that you're telling yourself. Maybe that's to do with how you look. Maybe that's to do with how much money you earn, what job you have, what car you drive, who your partner is. Anything you can think of in your life, you'll be telling yourself a story around it. Think about which stories are having the biggest impact on your life. Maybe things if you're not very confident. Maybe things like, I can't do it. I can't do a presentation in work. I can't lead a meeting. I can't do that half marathon or marathon that I really want to do. And that is a story. That's not reality. That's not truth. That's the story that you're telling yourself. And the more you tell yourself, the more that gets ingrained. But we can rewrite that story whenever we want. We can think, how can I do this thing? How can I do that marathon or half marathon or Ironman or whatever it is? I can pull it right back to today and I can start in small steps towards that goal. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do it tomorrow, but let's actually think, how can I do it? Change that story in your head from I can't do it to how can I do it? And the more you take those little steps forward, the more motivation, the more confidence you're going to have, and the more you're going to take steps towards that goal. And the easier, it's not going to be easy, but the easier it will get because you've shown that you can do those previous steps. That first step is always the hardest because we're stuck in this rut. We need to get out of it. So take that first step and start moving towards where you want to go. And I was talking to someone yesterday, and they said that one of their colleagues told them that, or said to them, why are you always so honest? Why do you say things even though no one else would know? Why do you tell people, that you did something wrong, or that you messed up? Why do you tell people? You could have just hidden that and no one would know. And the reason that you should be honest with yourself is because that is your story that you're telling yourself. No one else knows, but every time you lie or you're not honest, you mess up and you just hide it from people rather than admitting it and owning it, the more you're taking little chunks out of yourself. So the next time when there's that option in your mind, shall I be disciplined? Shall I do this thing? Shall I go to the gym or do that run or work on my business? You'll think back to that previous time. Oh no, I didn't do it then. So I messed up then, or I didn't do it. I didn't bother, so I'm not going to do it again. And you're going to start taking chunks out of your motivation, out of your confidence, out of your self-discipline. So one of the worst things you can do is not live up to those steps that you've set yourself, because you're taking away those things from yourself, from no one else, or maybe from other people, but more so from yourself. So take those steps, start rewriting that story, put that pen to the paper and start looking forward. Stop saying, I can't do this, I can't do that. Start thinking, how can I do that? What can I do? If you've never run before and you want to do a marathon, can you go for a walk? Can you go for a half a mile jog? Little steps, but all those things are pushing you towards that goal, getting you out of that status quo, out of that rut. So a really powerful quote. As I say, my favorite quote: we are, each of us, a product of the stories we tell ourselves. Think of the stories you're telling yourself. Think about how this applies to your life and how you can start telling yourself better stories. Leave me a comment in the comment section below. Let me know, how does this apply to you? Have you rewritten your story? And if not, are you going to? And if so, what are you going to do? What are those first steps for you to rewriting the story or the stories that you tell yourself? Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.